I'm Genevieve Randall, music director with Nebraska Public Media, and we are so proud to support Lincoln's Symphony Orchestra in these pre-concert chats. Some of the LSO concerts can be heard statewide on our occasional series, Nebraska Concerts, so be sure to keep an eye out for that. Now, for this concert at the Lead Center for Performing Arts, the adventurous guitarist Gigi joins Lincoln Symphony Orchestra for one of the most beautiful concertos written for guitar by Joaquin Rodrigo and another work especially written for her. So we will talk about that as well. It's a concert called Light and Renewal. And if you're seeing this chat way before the concert, that is coming up at the Lead Center for Performing Arts on Friday, May 9th at 7:30 p.m. Huge welcome to my guests on this pre-concert chat. Gigi, welcome and such a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you for having me, Genevieve. Thank you.
And Ed Polachek, of course, our fearless music director. Always great to see you, Ed.
Always great to be here. Honestly, I just love doing these chats because sometimes it's the very first time, like as in this case, that I'm actually meeting Gigi kind of in person, you know.
Yes.
But I've read a
It's
lot about you, Gigi, and we're
oh,
we are thrilled to have you join us. This is our closing concert for the season that you will be on, and I love both of the works that you are doing, the Rodrigo and the Dietrich. They're just great.
I'm really excited to work with you.
Good. Looking forward to it.
And we'll mention briefly too that the second half of the concert is also an amazing symphony by Brahms. So we'll get to that as well. Hopefully have a little bit of time for that. Gigi, since we've got you here, I learned a little bit about you that you were inspired by another amazing guitarist in Jason Vio. When you heard him play, what was it that caught your ear with the guitar? What made you want to do this for the rest of your life?
Yeah, so actually, I heard his album. Um, it's the kind of this arrangement of Pat Metheny's music in the style of Baroque. I think it's a letter from home or a letter to home. And I remember hearing this album and I was like, wow, this is so amazing. This is so beautiful. And when he came to Korea to give a recital, I heard him and he sounded exactly like his recording,
Wonderful.
right? And I just was so mesmerized by his musicianship and he sounded exactly like his recording. So, that was kind of like I just followed him around. I mean, yeah, we had a master class and I loved his teaching style. And now I just remember going up to him after my master class, like, can I come study with you? And he was like, okay, well, come to Cleveland. And so I followed him to Cleveland.
And the rest is history.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely amazing. The concerto that was written for you is from composer Natalie Dieterich. I'm not that familiar with her, and it's titled Light Beloved. So I guess tell us what the title is about and how this piece came to be written for you.
Yeah, so actually this is really funny how it all came around because like she had won this competition through New York Youth Symphony and it was a commissioning um a new work and when they were kind of programming this they wanted to have a guitar concerto written for me. So at the same time we didn't know about it and we were living together and we just found out, and it's like, oh my gosh, I knew I was gonna have a guitar concerto written for me. Oh, and it's gonna be Natalie Dietrich. So and it was just like, so we were in the house together, and we're like, oh my gosh, this is happening. So a lot of the things that she and I did because we're really good friends. If you're really good friends, you can work really well together. And she asked, I really want to write something that's really you, that highlights you. So I said, well, I do both classical and electric guitar. So let's do something with that. And she was like, that's so interesting. So give me a mixtape of all the music that you really love. And I remember sending her a lot of these, like the bands that I really like. And, it's a very pop influence, so you kind of hear these percussive things and there's a lot of these cadenza that's like very shreddy and also very virtuosic on the electric guitar, but very intimate, like classical guitar. So you get these like two dual sides. So a lot of the music that I put on her playlist was like Midwest emo kind of things. This Will Destroy You, Sigur Rós, and the Flaming Lips, and all of these like bands. And she was just like, "This is great music," and like so she and I worked really closely together. And then of course, like her music is just very her and authentic. So you get to see this duality of like the intimate classical guitar that is like kind of this rhythmical and jagged, but also like very like vulnerable in the middle of the piece. Is very like quiet and also very like still, and then it goes to like explosive electric guitar kind of ending. So this is yeah, it's very her, and she was just like making sure that we get to share both of our world together.
That is amazing. I'm curious now because I a couple of those bands you mentioned, when you went from Sigur Rós to Flaming Lips, I thought, okay, this is a wide variety of sounds the composer has to choose from. Ed, you probably don't listen to Flaming Lips. I don't know, I'm just guessing, just from having known you for a few years, or to Sigur Rós or any of those bands that
Heard the names, but
Gigi
no, you're
mentioned.
right. I have not.
Okay, so from your perspective, what is the music like?
Well, um, one of the things that one of the incredibly interesting things to me was this big surprise that in going from acoustic guitar to all of a sudden electric guitar, because I don't know how many electric guitars there were during Rodrigo's times back in the 1930s. It was at once a surprise, almost jarring, and then it was totally captivating. And that's, I must say that when your manager, Gigi, Jason Bells, whom I love very dearly, I think he's a terrific friend, also from Baltimore, and have known him for many years. He had suggested that he said, listen to a couple of things that this incredible star on the horizon guitarist is doing, and the kinds of things that she is doing, and I was immediately captivated by it. I really was. And then I said, Jason, send me her repertoire, and I paired up the Rodrigo with the Dietrich, because I thought in contrast they were just absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. But I also had this feeling that not seeing the score, that the audience was going to be quite captivated by it as well. And I'm sure that when you premiered it with the New York Youth Symphony, that they were completely surprised by it and captivated by it.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was really fun. I had a great time.
I believe it was a commission by the New York Youth Symphony. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah.
And a young colleague of mine, and someone who I have great respect for and love very dearly, Michael Repper, was at that time their music director. He's now off doing a million other things in his national and international career, but he's a fantastic conductor. And when I called him, I said, I want to ask you about this piece by Dietrich. And he said, oh, I'm so glad that somebody else has discovered this piece, that we were hoping that it was going to have a life just beyond the one project.
Right.
And I think it's going to. I really do. Partly because of your incredible talent, and also because of Natalie Dietrich's incredible gift as well.
Oh, thank you.
So we get a lot of contrast here in this music, as you said, Ed, between the, electric guitar, and then we get this Joaquin Rodrigo work where we're in a beautiful palace garden in Spain. And I mean, I don't think I could put the Rodrigo on repeat for like a week on end and not get tired of it.
And never tire of it. It is absolutely a beautiful concerto, probably, well, certainly his best known work. And it's one of the very first in the 20th century that had this kind of classical approach to guitar with orchestra. And an acoustic instrument like the guitar sometimes is a little tricky when you have orchestra behind it, but it's so well orchestrated. Likewise is the Dietrich too, as well. There are no balance problems. I mean, it's really quite beautiful. And I know that the audience is going to melt when they hear the Rodrigo, and then they're going to be absolutely astounded when they hear the Dietrich.
For sure. So I think anyone listening to our chat now, Gigi, is very curious, especially if they are guitarists themselves, to know what kind of instruments you're bringing with you for this and what the difference is for those who don't play guitar. Can you kind of give us the lowdown on your tools?
Yeah, so I'm going to bring a acoustic guitar that's made by this German luthier called Gernot Wagner. And it's from 2009. It's a double top body. It's a beautiful instrument. It's been traveling with me everywhere. And for the electric, I just got this amazing guitar by PRS, and it's amazing. I love it. It's just something that I just started playing with for the last year or so. And the pedals that I'm going to use, I think if you're real guitar nerdy pedal junkie, it's called Quad Cortex by Neural DSP. They're really fun, and it's something that I've been really enjoy using. So yeah, it's gonna be gear heavy concert.
The gear is something that fascinates me because I really don't understand it as a flutist myself, but I
Yeah,
watched an interview with Madison Cunningham, and granted, the interviewer was from a company that creates pedals and other gear. 20 minutes of the conversation was about pedals.
yeah,
I couldn't do
yeah.
it.
But we have to stop. Yeah, yeah. It's one of those things like you put in a room with like some guitarists, and it's just like we're just talking about gear stuff and
Yeah.
nothing personal.
Everyone else is left behind. That's lovely.
Yeah, yeah.
I
So,
love it.
Ed, even though the concerto that was written for Gigi is titled Light Beloved, the concert is titled Light and Renewal. What's the renewal part?
Well, the renewal part, uh, I believe, is having right from the very beginning to have a piece by for guitar and orchestra that is so familiar. Many people really know the Rodrigo from the second movement. I actually think all three movements are very well known and very popular. Um, and I think it's the idea that Rodrigo, who was blind actually since the age of 3 and wasn't a guitarist, he was a pianist. To write something, and actually, it was his first shot at writing a piece for guitar, this concerto, to have such an incredible success. It actually put him on the map. For me, when that kind of thing is evident, and then you look at something that is absolutely current day with a piece by Natalie Dietrich, that's where I see this whole kind of renewal, the going back into where kind of certain parameters were established, what the guitar could do, what it should sound like, having the association with Spain, basically, but now it has broken through other barriers because with the Dietrich, it's not only American, but it broke into the electronic aspect
Mhm.
of what the guitar is all about, which I think, in a way, is predominated by American electric guitar musicians. And then you go back to a composer like Johannes Brahms, the second half. But I think it's kind of it's swept up in itself in a way, and that's why I love this kind of program. It's very different, very different.
So let's reserve a few minutes for Brahms at the end here. But Gigi, I'm curious to know from you as a soloist, taking on two concertos to play and all in the first half of this concert, you didn't want a spacer in between there, or does that take some stamina? How did you?
Uh,
I no, I think I'm used. I mean, yeah. Now you mention it. No, I mean it's one of those things that I'm so used to playing like 80-minute, 90-minute set anyway. Like so, it's like it's it's so exciting for me. I was just like really stoked for the music because it's really rare that I get to do two concertos. Maybe that is totally narcissistic of me, but
Not
yes,
at all.
more of me. I mean,
Okay.
look what I can do.
I love it.
But no, I was just so excited that I get to do like something that's very familiar and something that is somewhat unfamiliar. That's what's, I think, what I do as a guitarist, as a soloist with all my recitals. I love doing my traditional music and also highlighting like musicians that folks might not have heard of. And that's really exciting for me. So I was like, yeah, I got this two concertos. That's exciting. Let's do
A
it.
true athlete on stage there that we're going to see on this concert. I'll just mention briefly about the Rodrigo before I move to the Brahms here for Ed. I always personally picture in my head the story I read about the Concierto de Aranjuez that he had been living outside of Spain due to politics and whatever. And it
Well,
was,
that was at that time, you know,
yeah,
the grumblings of the revolution. The whole world was in a bit of turmoil as we were approaching the 1940s, because this was written in the 1930s.
yeah.
You know, and there were Rodrigo wasn't the only composer. Da Faya was another one who really rebelled against the Franco regime and became an expat in Argentina. So I think that was somewhat, you know, that was one way I think that artists could protest what was going on politically.
So he starts writing it, and he's writing it in Braille, of course, and it's in his suitcase. This is the image that I always think as he and his wife board the train to go back home to Spain. And I just think like, oh my gosh, what precious cargo in that suitcase on the way back to Spain, and then gets there and finishes and has someone transcribe it and et cetera, et cetera. But thank goodness, this one sheet of paper traveling in this suitcase. Oh my goodness. It just gives
Unbelievable.
me goosebumps.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing actually.
So
And
Ed,
out of that comes one of the standards in the guitar repertoire.
yeah, yeah, just absolutely amazing. Well, so after Gigi performs her athletic feats on stage during the first half with these two concertos, you come back with the Brahms Symphony Number 4.
Right.
Any preview or teaser you want to give for people about this particular symphony?
Well, this is it's his last symphony, and he wrote it very rather late in life. And the music of Brahms gets more. I mean, I think I hate to say more and more complicated, but it's that's a poor choice of words. It it's as Brahms got older, his music became more complex, and it was every bit as beautiful. But the ways that he established himself as a romantic composer, even though he was always termed a neoclassical composer, become more and more evident. And this is such a symphony that truly demonstrates that. With an unusual third movement, I must say, a kind of, it always reminded me of the Tchaikovsky Pathétique, Symphony Pathétique, where that third movement was this, or the second movement was a kind of out of character with what the rest of the symphony was all about. And there's this kind of explosion of celebratory, high energy music, and then it goes back, but it then comes back in terms of the more serious aspect of it. I find this symphony a nod also still to the classical period, but it is one of the single most romantic ever written. It's a magnificent work. It's exciting. It's tuneful. You can't help but fall in love with it. If you know structure, you get the Passacaglia, which, by the way, has a certain relationship to the second half of the Dietrich concerto, because there's this constant B natural that is ringing above, whether it's in percussion, in guitar, in piano, in harp, in the woodwinds. You keep on hearing this kind of ethereal bell tone, and it just grows and grows until until the electric guitar takes over, and it's still there. And that's exactly what the fourth movement of the Brahms is all about too. It's the repetition of the same kind of motive constantly, and yet you don't. It's almost mesmerizing, but you never get bored by it. I mean, it keeps on taking you on this journey to go through it, and that's why I love the pairing of the Brahms with this particular program.
Just an amazing set of pieces. Well, it's going to be a great concert. Just to review that, Brahms is on the second half. The first half, we get the beautiful Concierto de Aranjuez by Joaquin Rodrigo with our soloist here, who's been my guest here on our pre-concert chat, Gigi. And then she plays another concerto written for her by Natalie Dieterich. And is that how she says her last name, just to get it right?
Yep.
Dieterich.
Yeah.
Okay, Dieterich. We want to make sure that the world knows who this composer is and how her name is said. And the maestro for all of this is Ed Polachek on the season closer for this season of Lincoln Symphony Orchestra. Oh my goodness, you guys, thank you so much.
And
This
I
is
have to tell you also that Natalie Dietrich is going to be there at the
Yes.
concert. Yes, we're very excited about this.
Yeah.
It's a terrific way to kind of close the season. I cannot believe myself that we have gone through another whole season. Where did it go? You know, it's been a phenomenal season. It really has. And I have to tell you that you're going to be previewed if you come to the concert on May 9th with our upcoming the 25-26 season. And it's just another major season for us. So we're very excited about May 9th. And so great to have you with us, Gigi.
Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait for Lincoln.
We're going to do it.
Gigi, thank you so much for being my guest, and Ed, you as well.
Likewise. Thank you, hon.
Thank you so much.